Daggers and Dangers at the Workplace. This title has intrigued a lot of people, and I've been hearing from so many people, so many followers saying they are curious to know what we're going to speak about. Um, I was just thinking about how do I bring this into context. I normally use a storytelling style. That's my natural style. But today I was wondering how do I bring it, because this is a very dramatic topic in itself, and I was wondering how do I do it. And then it suddenly struck me: what if before today's talk started, what if somebody came in here 5 minutes before I did and said a whole lot of things about me, spread a lot of rumors about me, saying that Harini is incompetent, Harini has a lot of attitudes, Harini is somebody who doesn't give people their space, says a whole lot of things in my absence, and goes away. And then I enter the room. I enter this virtual meeting room. And what is the obvious reaction that I should expect is that everybody will start looking at me with a little bit of bias, colored by whatever someone else has just spoken about me and probably even left the room. And believe me, sometimes a bias like that could be the trigger for a dagger or a danger in the workplace. A lot of times when you enter an organization, we assume that nobody knows us. So therefore, it's a safe place for us to create our space. It's a safe space for us to build credibility. But you never know, there is a possibility that people already know you. Okay? It may not be as dramatic like the way I said. It may not be that someone has come in before you and spread rumors about you. It may just be as simple as, what does your social media presence talk about you as a person? Okay. So one of the dangers in the workplace is your own image. What do the other people perceive you as? The other people's perception, or you may call it as their perception, but that's the reality for them. What's perception for you is reality for them. So it's quite possible that people have watched your behavior on social media, and they are looking at you with a bias or with perception about you as a person the day you enter the workplace. So this is something which is very much a danger that lurks in the workplace today. And when somebody shakes hands with you on your first day at work, not in this situation, but typically when someone welcomes you at work, there could be something working in the back of that person's mind about what he or she thinks about you as a person, what he or she thinks about you as a professional. And constantly, with every handshake, with every contact of the eye, these perceptions can get accentuated or endorsed. And if you actually start behaving very, very close to what perception the person has about you, it keeps getting endorsed even more. And then that perception becomes a very strong belief. And that's how relationships get made in organizations. Now, you could be having a certain personality or a way you behave. Okay. For example, you could be someone who is very vociferous, who is able to give your point of view very vocally, very loudly, very clearly. And you're also very, very open to giving your point of view at all times. So if there is someone in your organization who aligns with you as a person, who has a very good perception about you, he might say that this lady is extremely firm in what she and how she speaks. She's very articulate, and she is someone whom you should work with if you want to get your voice across. Now you are the same person. Now if there's another individual who didn't strike that chord with you in the initial meetings, he would say that this lady is someone who is very aggressive. She's someone who has an opinion about things, and she pushes her way through, right? So the individual is you. Okay, in my example, it's me. The individual is me. But I have two people who are viewing me through their perception lenses. So when people view me through their perception lenses, they form their opinions about what kind of person I am, and that stays with them forever. What happens is in such a situation is whenever you encounter an incident with any of these people, that perception is what that comes in the way when they deal with you. Now, this might result in becoming a dagger in the workplace. If I ask everybody in this room, is there anyone who works whose workplace does not have politics, people politics? I'm sure if we were doing this in a physical forum, I'm very sure that most of you, more than 90% of you will say that yes, we do encounter office politics, workplace politics. It's simply because politics between individuals and personality types will be there. When there are two individuals, when they have very individualistic thinking and they're two different individuals, there will be somewhere where there is a perception about each other. And that's what could result in office politics or workplace politics. If you're conscious of it, then these daggers could not hurt you. But if you're not conscious of them, you can get backstabbed. Just imagine you're walking into a strange, unknown place, and there are daggers hanging all over the place, and you have to navigate your way through those daggers. If you see them, if you are able to make a precise estimate of the distance, of the size, and of the way that dagger is swinging, navigating through that place is easy for you and you emerge unhurt. But if you walk into that room and you blind yourself and you say that nothing will happen to me and I don't care, and you walk right through, not willing to look at those daggers that are hanging over there, it's but natural that you will get badly and brutally injured. So navigating through the workplace, navigating through emotions of people, navigating through workplace behaviors, which are all based on perceptions between each other, I think is as simple as having to navigate through a tunnel that has daggers hanging. And it's the best way to deal with it. I saw some questions that came to me through the registration process, is that people were curious to understand, how do I handle workplace politics? Tip number one, be conscious and be aware of the workplace politics. It would be suicidal to say that I don't care about what is happening. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about who's doing what. I will just walk through. It's suicidal to say that. It is very, very important to be conscious and to be aware of workplace politics. Now, when we say workplace politics, and how does one try and identify what is the kind of dagger that is hanging there? Broadly, you will see there are two kinds of personalities. I am not referring to any individual in particular, and I'm not referring to any particular behavioral trait using a psychometric tool. I'm just talking out of common sense. When you're dealing with people, you will find two kinds of personalities, which I can call as somewhat dysfunctional personalities. Okay. If I get into psychology and the theory, there are many types of dysfunctional personalities, but broadly, for the purpose of understanding the context, let's look at two very obvious dysfunctional personalities. Personality number one is someone who is a bully. Okay. Now, how do you recognize a bully? A bully is someone who will walk with an attitude that he knows it all and he's powerful. Is someone who will throw his weight around. And it could also be someone who is not willing to acknowledge another person's presence. Okay, a bully is one dysfunctional personality whom you can immediately catch as you observe. The second dysfunctional personality that I want to talk about is someone who is incompetent. Someone who lacks the competency to be working in that position. Someone who has just grown there, by default, and has not really been able to earn his place in that organization. Okay, so let's call bully as personality number one and incompetent as personality number two. Now you'll find that both these personalities could be extremely nuisance creators, right? So when I say nuisance creators, they are the people who are likely to be your daggers. So watch out for them. Why are they daggers for you? There could be several reasons, but what is common between these two personalities is both of them are actually trying to defend their space in the organization or in the team. So the moment there is a newcomer, so in this case, let's assume I am the newcomer, I enter a team, and obviously my first day at the workplace, my first day in the team is my day of glory. It's my D-Day. So obviously the entire attention is on me. There is probably a welcome note that's come. And if I'm joining in a very senior position, I'm actually being physically welcomed in the office. There could be announcements that go. Obviously, on the first day, people will sing praises. They will say that you come with so many years of experience and you've done all of this. And all these actions of putting the newcomer in the limelight can trigger certain emotions very naturally in these two dysfunctional personalities, the bully and the incompetent. Even if you have nothing to do with them, even if you are not going to come in their way at any time, they might still have a feeling that you are a threat. That's where it all begins. For all you know, the feeling of threat could have set in the moment they heard that you are going to join the team or the organization, and they would have started looking at your social media behavior even before you got started or got formally introduced to them because of their feeling of insecurity. Now, when your social media behavior is being watched, that too very closely, and that too by someone who is trying to build a defense mechanism to work against you, imagine what danger it can cause. Okay, so first tip is watch out for the daggers, watch out for the dysfunctional personalities that I said. It's very easy to watch. And the second thing is, when you know that you are going to join a team or an organization, at least for a brief period before that, ensure that your social media behavior or the behavior that is visible to the world is absolutely in the right direction. Because people make perceptions, and what is perception for you is the reality for them, right? So this is how you identify daggers and dangers in the workplace and how you navigate through them. Now, how do you deal with all of this? First rule is, when you have to deal with politics, is don't become political. As simple as that. When I say don't become political, what I mean is one needs to control the temptation of feeling of alignment with particular individuals. Why I'm saying you have to control the temptation is it's very, very easy. It's very natural. When you see a like-minded person, when in the first interaction, you find a soul connection, you find that instant connect, it's very obvious that you kind of emotionally get attached with that individual, more so when you are a newcomer in the organization. When you're a newcomer there, you're looking for friends, you're looking for connections. And the moment you get connected with someone, the alignment is so strong, you will be seen with that person almost every time during the day. Okay. It's good to get a buddy in the organization. It's good to bond. It's good to discover the organization along with someone who's been there. But at the same time, it's too early to actually align your beliefs and values with anybody in the organization. The reason is there could be someone else who is a dagger in that tunnel and is waiting to backstab you. You never know, because there is always someone whom you might be putting at a position of threat by your mere presence. And you don't even need to have a charisma about you. You don't even need to be dynamic. You can just put anybody at a position of threat or insecurity by your mere presence, and anyone can do that. There's always someone who could be your competitor or who perceives himself or herself as your competitor. Now, that person is watching for that moment with whom you are aligning and why. So if you are seen aligning with a bunch of people who are not seen in good light by the others, you're putting yourself into trouble. You're giving your hands into the political situation. So the second tip is, do not form allies in the organization very, very quickly, right? So if you do not form allies in the organization, and you spend the initial few days as you're settling down with a very open mind, being absolutely non-judgmental, and doing a lot of listening instead of talking, and trying to find out from people more about the organization, more about every individual, more about interpersonal relationships between people, how teams work, which are the teams that are aligned, which are the teams where there are conflicts, and all of that. And if it's a learning for you, if you're able to document all that learning, it will come as a reference point much later when you have to deal with certain people. This is an exercise which I did in one of my last organizations, where it helped me tremendously. It was a very, very complex organization where I had to deal with multiple stakeholders across various functions, across various cities, and at a very, very senior role. So the first 90 days, typically the first 90 days I spend in a lot of understanding and observation. Like we do in design thinking, I design my tenure in the organization, and I do a lot of the empathy phase of design thinking there. And I try and make my observations, and that helped me to understand group dynamics. Group dynamics is something which will help you navigate through the daggers and the dangers at the workplace. If you show a blind eye to that, then there is no option other than accept it when you get stabbed in the back. Now, in spite of all of this, you might still argue that, yes, I'm conscious, I'm aware, I have been practicing that, I am not being alive with anybody, yet I have a problem dealing with my boss. Yet I have a problem dealing with two bosses, and I'm constantly facing the brunt of the conflict. Well, that is reality. When you have conflicting bosses and you are reporting to both of them, you will have to deal with it. Now, how do you deal with that that's where you have to develop something called as diplomacy and tact. You have to understand the behaviors of each of the stakeholders that you have. Start building trust. And that's where Mark will have a lot to tell after I finish about how do you build trust between people, between individuals. How do you start building your own credibility there? By being authentic in your relationships with people. While, like I said, while in empathy, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes and look at situations from their perspective. It's also important that you be authentic and be in your own skin when you're having to convert your thoughts into actions. Now, when you're doing that, when you're empathetic, you're building that trust between the individual and you. And when you're authentic, you're also telling them what you truly are. And over a period of time, that eases out a lot of distrust between you and the bosses. So it becomes a lot easier to handle those conflict between two people. Another situation that we all face very, very often is you'll find two departments which are constantly at loggerheads. Okay. Very, very common. I was the CHRO for a multinational for a long time. And what I noticed is that the HR team and the finance team, who are the pillars of driving that business, were constantly at loggerheads. And what we discovered that there was a major conflict between me and the finance head. We had a personality conflict. And what was happening is not just the teams below us were getting affected, but the entire organization was. To an extent, and because I am a behavioral science expert and I observe behaviors and I do a lot of experiments with human behaviors, what I noticed that the entire organization was actually taking this situation to their advantage. Anyone who wanted to have his way through would use this conflict between us and play one against the other and get an approval, because we were at peer levels. So for an employee who wants to do something which is not in the interest of the organization, this conflict between the leaders was becoming extremely advantageous. Now, this became a dagger for the organizational health itself. And it's extremely dangerous to put the organization's health at stake. So one of the things that I did there is it was almost impossible for me to get into talking to my peer and I tried that to start with, but it wasn't working. I had to get external help because I am also involved. The fact is that I know what's happening, but I can't, and I should not treat myself. Although I tried, but I should not. So I got external help. I got someone to do a kind of an intervention where we would see eye to eye and we would start talking. But at the same time, I thought, let me try a social experiment. And I got the team members of both the warring teams actually to start supporting each other. I said, ignore us, the leaders, for a while. Support each other in whatever you have to do, in whatever processes you have to work on. Support both the teams. Instead of blaming each other, start supporting each other and let's see what happens. And we worked bottom upward. And at one point, the two teams were working absolutely in sync with each other, absolutely not worried about what was happening between both of us, the leaders of those two teams. And that's how we prevented the organization from getting backstabbed by the dagger. Okay, now coming back to an individual situation. So when individuals face daggers in the organization, there can be situations where things go beyond your control. You have played your part extremely well. You have tried to be non-political, not formed allies very soon. You have observed behaviors. You have tried to play with behaviors in a way that you've built trust, credibility, all of that. You've done all that I said in the last 20 minutes. Yet there's a situation, whatever may be the reason, you get backstabbed and the axe falls on your head. And due to some political reason, as that is what people normally say, your services have been terminated. Then what do you do? I think at one point of time, it's extremely essential to wear a very rational thinker's hat and look at the situation from a long-term perspective, especially when you're backstabbed and when you know that you're not going to survive. I think the best way is to accept what the organization is serving you. Because one very simple philosophy, which I typically want HR professionals to follow, is you want the organization to respect you. That's what you're telling your people, respect the HR function. So you should also reciprocate, saying that we respect the organization's decision. At a point, it makes sense to accept the organization's decision and not look at it with a bias saying that there is one individual who has decided to do this to me. So look at it as the organization's decision, because that's how it gets conveyed. Although you're aware that it is because of someone who has backstabbed you, it is not necessary that you have to accept it that way. So it's in your own interest to accept it as an organization's decision and leave respectfully. Do not get into a fight with the daggers. So if you get into a fight with the daggers, what could have been just a bruise could become a severe, brutal injury, which would make you impossible to survive. By which I mean, if you're brutally injured when you're fighting with the daggers around you in the organization, when you know that a decision cannot be reversed, it can damage your career even after you're outside that organization. However, if you're conscious of the dagger and you respect the organization and you decide not to hurt yourself or not to let the dagger hurt you, you leave the organization in grace. And very soon you will realize that the same organization at any time might even call you back. All of us must have heard the Steve Jobs story of how he was asked to leave Apple and then they brought him back. Remember, the world is a small place and it's round. You never know where your paths will cross. So the best is to navigate through the daggers and dangers in the workplace and accept things as they come. Be conscious, avoid becoming another dagger or injuring someone else. Be conscious of it and navigate your way smoothly without getting hurt. Now we can take a few questions. We are at 20:46 by my clock, and we can take a few questions. But before we go to questions, Mark, if you're still there, it'll be nice if you can add your perspective.